Hello everyone, welcome back to the session on your operating system, Unit 5, Part 2. So today we are going to discuss the second part of your this particular unit, that is nothing but we call it as security. So in the previous session we have discussed about something called as how we can provide protection. We have seen how we can provide protection to our system. So what kind of system we are talking about here is nothing but our operating system. That is what, so how we can provide protection to our operating system is what we have seen in the previous session. Now, what exactly the difference that exists between a particular protection and security, that you should have a clear clarification. Then only you can go ahead with this thing. Like, you may be getting a question that, okay, sir, protection is nothing but protecting our system with respect to what we call the infringements from the outsiders. That is what we call protection, isn't it? Something like viruses and all. So same with then what about security? Security also have a similar meaning, similar to nothing but protecting our system from the outsiders and all. That is what comes under security. Then what is the main difference that exists between this particular protection and security? Well, there do exist some differences between protection and security in this particular scenario. What is that here? Please be careful while I'm explaining this. Okay. So here, coming to this particular security, here we will be discussing about, okay, I'll explain you the difference between security and protection, but let me explain this. So here we are going to discuss about, these are the content what we are going to discuss in this particular session. In the coming sessions and all, this is the entire unit what we have, the second part. So in this first, we have security problem. What is the problems we are going to face with respect to security? And in this, we'll be discussing about something called as terminologies. We will be discussing about some terminologies with respect to, I think you people are already familiar with that. I don't have to explain it. Something you people might be knowing about hacker. We have something called as a cracker. Okay. Then we have something called theft. And then we have something called as a terminology called as attack. So what is the meaning of this hacker? So what is okay, sorry, what is the meaning of this hacker? What is the meaning of this cracker, theft and attack? That we are going to discuss in this particular security problems. Apart from that, we will also discuss the security violations. We'll be discussing about something called as security violations. What are the different type of security violations that can exist in our system? Well, basically we know that we only have to protect our system from, means whatever the resources that are present in the system, that we need to protect it, but definitely there exists something called as violation of security, and there are different types. It's not that a single type, there are multiple type of security violations that are existing in our operating system, and we need to protect from those particular violations. So all those things will be, we will be discussing in this particular something called as security problem. Then we have something called as program threats. What are the different kind of threats that exist within a program, that we are going to discuss in this particular scenario. Followed with that, we have something called a system and network threat. So here within the network, whenever your operating system or your system, your laptop, your personal computer or any device, okay, when it is connected to internet, you are been actually unbounded, you have been bound earlier, you are bounded to within your system. Whenever you're not connecting your system with your internet connection, then or your operating system or whatever the laptop you're using, whatever the desktop you're using, that you need to provide protection there itself with respect to the pen drives, external devices. Like you people might be installing pen drives, so that pen drive should not consist of any kind of viruses and all. Based on that, you need to provide it. But once you people are connecting this to a network, your system to a network, that is nothing but to an outside world, automatically what will happen, the network threats will come into picture. Means now not only you have to protect your operating system from these breaches, but also you should protect them from the network issues. From the network, some user, some hacker might be trying to access your information from the operating system or your laptop, so we need to protect that. So that things comes under here. So how to protect this network threats and all is nothing but we have a terminology called as cryptography. This is a very important terminology what we are having here. So basic level we will be discussing here the cryptography. It is a security tool what we have, and this cryptography you have a unit in 4.1 where you will be discussing in depth related to the different algorithms that are implemented in order to protect your data from getting theft by the different users or different hackers, whatever it is. Then followed with that, we have something called as user authentication. So that we will be saying how we have to authorize a user. Means whoever is authorized person is there, only that person should be able to access the information that is present within the system. That is what comes under your user authentication. Then we have something called as implementing security defenses. Implementing security defenses here is nothing but how you can provide your like military devices. In military, they will be using some different kind of devices in order to store the data and all. Even your banks, SBI Bank, Canara Bank, all the banks will be using databases. That database is how we can provide security so that they cannot be hacked by the outsiders. Outsiders means like other countries like Pakistan or other like Chinese people or some other hackers. Okay, so those they should not be trying to hack our system. So so for that purpose, how we are implementing the security defenses and all. And then we'll discuss something relevant to firewalling. This is the first protection what we have in our system. Okay, if your system doesn't consist of antivirus, then this is the one. Okay, every operating system will have a firewall. This will try to protect your system. But remember that this firewall is not sufficient enough to protect your system until and unless this is coded very strongly. Usually these firewalls are not coded very strongly with respect to personal computers and all. But if you talk about your computers relevant to storing information such as your account details and everything, like for example, you people have social networking sites, Facebooks. So whatever the account you people are creating, whatever the images you people are storing in the Facebook, whatever the status is you people are storing in this particular Facebook, that will be stored in a server. What is a server here? Server is nothing but it's a hardware somewhere located in China, you can say, or it may be located in Hyderabad. Facebook, we have a Hyderabad, we have a server. So they might be storing our data there. So this is also a hardware, right? So we need to provide this protection. So definitely the firewall, which is used for this particular server, will be much more stronger when compared to this firewall we are using with respect to a normal personal computer. That is nothing but your laptops. So there is a lot of difference exists between the firewalls. So firewall should be very strong enough. Okay, what exactly we are talking about here is nothing but coding. Even firewall is nothing but it is a small, very strong code, a very complicated code that is written to protect our systems from getting hacked by the third person. That okay, or we can say the unauthorized person that comes under your firewalling. Then we have something called as computer security classifications, and then finally we'll take one small example with respect to Windows 7, and we will see how this particular protection and all is implemented in this particular scenario. Okay. Now, basically, I just wanted to explain the difference between a protection and a security. Protection and security. What is the main difference exist here is nothing but if you talk about protection here, this is with respect to the devices, your system. With respect to your system in the sense it can be a laptop, it can be a personal computer, it can be a mobile device, whatever you are using it. Okay. But remember, here you are not using an internet connection. No internet connection is there here. In simple terms, what I can say is whatever the device you are using within your personal life without connecting to internet, for that we need to provide protection. Means whatever the resources that are present within these devices, maybe a laptop, maybe a personal computer, or maybe a mobile phone, without having an internet connection, you need to provide protection that to the resources that are present in these devices. That is what we call it as protection. How to provide protection? For example, if you take a laptop, you are using a pen drive. Okay, you have some information in the pen drive which you want to store in the laptop. So this pen drive maybe consists of some kind of viruses, right? Virus. So we need to make sure that whenever this pen drive is connected to this particular laptop, the virus that is present in this particular pen drive should not enter in our laptop. Or else what it will do, whatever the resources that are present within the system, it will try to destroy it. So that is the main problem we are having it. That is what we have to make sure. So definitely we need to buy some good antiviruses and all in order to protect our system. So that is what comes under protection. Means you are trying to protect the resources that are present within your system. Okay, within your system, remember, when it is not connected to internet. But whereas coming to security here, the same thing, you need to provide security to these devices only, that is laptop, personal computer, your mobile phones, but all the electronic devices. But when these are connected to a internet, when these are connected, okay, when these are connected to internet, then we have to provide security here, because whenever you're connecting this laptop to internet connection means you are getting connected to the outside world. When you are not having a internet connection to the laptop, that is being used by you only. But when you're connecting an internet here, you have been exposed to multiple dimensions. Multiple dimensions means multiple different networks, and from any network anyone can try to access your information that is present in this particular laptop. So we need to provide a strong protection here so that these networks cannot try to access the information that is present in your system. That is, unauthorized access should not be taking place. Unauthorized access should not take place in this particular system, whatever you're using. And that is what comes under here, security. For that purpose, we require security here. So, okay. So you might be heard about hackers hacking your personal details, hackers hacking your credit card information. That all things comes under security. So we need to provide security with respect to that, or else what will exactly happen here is the hackers will be trying to access the information like something your credit card details, and they may be doing shopping and all, and you have to pay the bills for that. So that is what the problem that actually exists here. Now let's go ahead and come with this security problem. So here the security problem is nothing but, see, basically security is the main issue what we have with respect to operating systems, whatever we are using, not only operating system, even whatever the devices we are using it. But the thing is, what is exactly saying is that we need to protect the resources, whatever the resources are there. Okay, and whatever whoever is accessing those particular resources, they should be secured enough. They must be secured enough that under all circumstances they can be perfectly utilized. Mainly the security problems comes in a payroll systems. You know, payroll systems, these are the systems which consist of critical information. These are the system, these are the one which consist of critical information. What kind of, so best example for this is SBI servers, you know, State Bank of India servers. This servers is the one, you know, many of your parents or you people might be having internet banking. So whenever you log into your system, definitely you need an internet connection, and you will be giving something called as username and password, right? So how the system, I mean, how the SBI website is able to know that you are an authorized person means you're giving a username and you're giving a password. Means this username and password are getting compared with the username and password which you people have created initially. Where these username and password are stored is nothing but in the into this particular payroll systems, or you can call it as SBS servers. So whenever you're giving a username and password, this username and password is getting compared with the values that are present in this particular SBS server. If both are correct, then only you can log in into this particular website. But in case if the username or the password is incorrect, you are typing it up, so you cannot log into this particular website. That is what he means to say here. So that it means what does that mean? The username and password already present in the server means we need to protect the server from attacking by the hackers. Why? Because if they are attacking on the servers, they will definitely get the username and password. So they when they have their username and password, then what they can do, you know, much more better, right? They can do a lot of things with that. They can try to exchange the amount that is present in your banks, or they may try to buy some items online shopping and all. They will do it up, and then they will try to, yeah, means your money will be spent in order to get the data and all. So that is a big problem. So that is a basic security problem that we people are facing across here in this particular scenario. Okay. So that is the thing. So here we are going to use some terminologies here. So the terminologies are something. So that is not the terminologies. I think you people already know that. Something we call it as intruders. Something we call it as intruders. So these are the some of the terminologies we have here. So first thing is we usually call it as intruders, or we can also call it as crackers. Okay. So what I mean by intruder here is nothing but you can also call it as hacker. So these are the terminologies: intruders, hacker, or cracker. All the three are the same. What is the main purpose of these particular persons, or these people are nothing but breaching the security. They will try to breach the security of a particular system. That can be a server, that can be your laptop, that can be a personal computer, or that can be your what we call databases. Okay, that moreover the servers in the sense nothing but like, you know, FBI, like you people have Facebook account, right? So Facebook server. So we have Facebook server here. Same way, Instagram is also connected to Facebook. So the data present in the Instagram is also stored in this particular servers. And after that, we have something called, you people are using Gmail accounts. That is Google Mail. So where that Gmail accounts means that Google servers are there. So that information. So they will try to hack. So who are the one who are going to attack on these particular devices are the nothing but we call them as hackers. or we can call it as crackers or intruders. The main purpose of these people are nothing but these are very strong programmers. These people are very strong programmers who will be simply breaching the security of this particular devices. Mostly you might have heard about that, sometimes some bank accounts have been hacked, or government websites have been hacked by hackers and all. So that is the main purpose of these particular things. Apart from that, we have something called as threats here. So what do you mean by threat here is nothing but it is a potential security violation. Threat is something like, it's not an attack. There is a difference between threat. Threat is nothing but there is a possibility of a security violation. Okay, because maybe our coding or our website is not strong enough. We didn't write the firewall strong enough that we can protect our systems or protect our websites. Then there is always a possibility that always a possibility of a threat that our systems can get hacked. That comes under threat. Next is what we are having attack. Attack means someone has already attacked. Who has attacked? The intruder or the cracker or the security person, whoever he is might have attacked to this particular breach, this particular security. Okay. Now these attacks can be basically classified. The attacks, whatever we are talking about in this particular scenario, these are basically classified into two types. One is something we call it as malicious. Malicious. The other one, what we have is accidental. What do you mean by malicious here is nothing but the intruder done intentionally. The intruders does this intentionally to hack our systems, to perform a security breach in our system. That is what comes under malicious. Accidental means this is not by purpose. This is not done by purpose. Accidentally it has happened. They didn't expect to do that, but suddenly it happened due to the because maybe of a poor coding or maybe of a due to not perfectly executing any program and all that has happened in Meta. So that is what comes under accidental. Not such a kind of things. So whenever accidentally, if anything, any attack is taking place, these attacks we can overcome. We can overcome these attacks, okay, that are accidental. But if any attack is happening due to malicious thing, then we cannot overcome these particular things. It's very difficult to overcome these particular attacks, the one which are done by malicious, because they are doing it intentionally. The hackers are doing it by intention, so definitely they'll make sure you people should not know what exactly the system is happening there, what exactly the purpose, what exactly the situation is there, or what exactly is happening within your system. They don't want to know, and but simply they wanted to get the details of yours. What kind of details? Your personal details, your personal mail IDs, or your personal credit card information, debit card information. So you will not be knowing that, but they will be simply hacking and they'll be buying and doing some kind of infringements with that particular data, whatever they have got it. They'll try to misuse that particular thing. That comes under here. Now here, as I told you that there are different security violations are there. So there are different categories of security violations we are having. The first one, okay, let me show you everything and then one by one I'll discuss it. Okay. So, well, this 1 to 5 are the security violation categories. These are the one which we have security violation categories. Remaining or not, you might be wondering that why remaining or not. These are the different type of attacks. This masquerading replay attack, this I'll explain in the next slide. So if you talk about the security violation categories here, so these are the 5 we are having. First one is breach of confidentiality. Breach of confidentiality. What do you mean by breach of confidentiality is nothing but unauthorized reading of data. Okay, unauthorized reading of a data from your system. The best example for this is hacker. Hacker's main intention is what he wanted to read your data. He is not authorized to access the information that is present in your system. But what he will do, he will try to enter in your system by unauthorized way, and he will try to read the data. What kind of data he will be reading here? Something your credit card informations, okay, your personal details, which no one should know. That kind of details, okay, your bank details or your ATM payments, all these kind of information he will try to access it. How? By unauthorized means. And using this, he will be getting a monetary gains. He will be getting a monetary gains he is going to get here. What kind of monetary gains is nothing but, suppose he has a credit card information, that is your credit card number and a password. He will simply try to what we call do some kind of shopping, online shopping and everything, and the bill will be credited to you in your account. If he has bank details, he may be trying to transfer the amount that is present in your bank to other banks, to his bank or something like that. If he has a ATM pin, that is much more better. He can easily access every information or every amount that is present in your account. So that kind of loss a person can have when this particular attacker performs this kind of breach. That is nothing but breach of confidentiality. Then we have breach of integrity. Integrity is nothing but modification of data, unauthorized modification of data. Let us suppose this is mainly with respect to business applications, you can say. This is with respect to business applications. I can give you an example here. So what kind of application here is nothing but, for example, uh, a particular business application. For example, if we take a WhatsApp, WhatsApp is actually belongs to one of the company, right? They who are providing it. Now let us suppose they have read what exactly this WhatsApp is. This is nothing but a application. If I'm not wrong, WhatsApp is an application which we can get it from a Play Store, isn't it? Using a Play Store, we can install this particular WhatsApp. Now you know that there are several different features have been allocated to this particular WhatsApp nowadays. Now, whenever these particular programmers are writing a program, there is a possibility that some other person, we call it as an intruder or a hacker, he enters into this WhatsApp website and he will try to change the code. He will try to change the code in by what mean it has to perform it. Like for example, like star, like you know that if I wanted to represent something very dark, if I wanted bold in whenever I'm sending an information, suppose I want to send the information to my friend hi, but I want this in bold. What I have to do within the WhatsApp, like star and star, I had to write place a star before that word and after that particular word without any gap. Then this particular word will be represented in a format of a bold character, isn't it? But let us suppose a hacker entered into the WhatsApp company's group or website, he changed the code. How he has changed the code? Whenever you people are representing star and star, no, instead of bold, so it should be coming high as bold. Rather than that, it is coming as a cross. So it will be printing high, but there will be a line in between, like as if you have cut that particular word. So what happened here? The code has been changed. As per you, star and star means it should represent high with a bold character. But how it is exactly printing it is nothing but by striking off that particular word. Now that is what comes under unauthorized modification of data. So data has been modified. You were thinking that if I use two stars, this will be coming. But actually what happened, it is coming as a strike object. So these are the things comes under this. Okay, this one is a normal one which I have explained, but this is going to pay a lot of loss to the particular company. So that is what comes under breach of integrity. Then we have something called a breach of availability. Availability means nothing but a destruction of data. Destruction of data in the sense nothing but the data is not available in your system. The intruder will try to access your system and he will try to destroy the data that is present in your system. Means you will try to open an application. Let us suppose one of the student, okay, one of you might be opening a movie. You want to watch a movie, that movie is present in a movie folder, and this has been actually connected to a VLC media player. I think you people might be knowing, right? VLC media player, where you will using which you will be playing a movie. Now you are clicking on that particular movie and the movie name is something xyz.mp4. Now you're clicking on this movie, but this movie is not getting open. Suddenly you're getting a window saying that this data is not available. Data is not available or the data has been destroyed, something like that. You didn't destroy it. You didn't modify that particular application. But whenever you're trying to open this particular movie, you're getting this kind of window. What does that mean is this particular person, I mean the intruder, entered in your system and he has destroyed this particular file. How he destroyed, we don't know. He has used some kind of programming technique in order to destroy this. Due to that, what happens whenever you click on this particular app, I mean this particular movie, to open it up, it is showing that that particular data is destroyed. Either the data is not available, means that that particular thing has been, whatever the data is present there, that has been totally destroyed by that particular person. So that kind of breach is what we call is breach of availability. Now, theft of services. Now, this is something different. This is something like, unauthorized use of resources. The best example for this is the intruder will send a program. The intruder has written a program, and that program he is sending it to your laptop. Now, once this is getting installed in your laptop, you will not be knowing it. Automatically, this program will run in your laptop when he is sending it. You might have given permissions by different means. We don't know what kind of means here. That depends. So what the intruder will do, he will send a program here. So that program will be running in your laptop. From now onwards, he will be using the resources that present in your laptop. For example, your laptop consists of 1 TB. Let us suppose he will be using that 1 TB as a server. He will be using your laptop as a server, and whenever any information is coming, he will be directing to your laptop. From your laptop, the data will be going. So what happens here is, for example, you're having 1 TB of data. I mean, your space, 1 TB of space. You have hardly used it 2 GB. Is okay, yeah, hardly used 2 GB. What about the remaining then out of 1 TB? The remaining, so you have a lot of data. But actually, when you will see the memory, that how much amount of memory that is present here, it will show you that 0 MB or 0 GB of data is available. 0 GB of, sorry, not data, space is available. Okay, let me explain with a shorter one that is much more better. Suppose you are having 2 GB of space in your system. Okay, you are having a 2 GB of space. Now you have used only 1 GB of your space. So how much space left more here? 1 GB is remaining. But whenever you try to see the information, how much amount of space is left, it will show you that 0 GB of space is available. Even though you did not use this, still you know that 1 GB of space I didn't use it. This is available. Still, your system is showing that 0 GB of space. Why? Because this 1 GB of space is used by the intruder. He is using for his own purpose. That's the reason it is showing you that only 0 GB of space is available. That is what we call it as theft of service. Means your resources, this fellow is using it. So that is what comes under your theft of service. The last but not the least we have here is denial of service. Denial of service is nothing but something like you have been restricted from accessing the applications which are present in your system itself. Suppose your laptop, you'd consider it your laptop. In your laptop, you people have installed WhatsApp application. Now you are the owner of that particular laptop. All the rights. What are the rights we have? Read, write, execute. All these permissions will be present in this laptop belongs to you as a owner. So means whenever you're clicking on this particular WhatsApp application, that should open up, isn't it? But unfortunately, this WhatsApp application is not opening. It says that you don't have sufficient permissions. It will say that you don't have sufficient permissions for performing the operation. Okay, you're not having sufficient permissions, or we call it as privileges. We can also call it as privileges, means read, write, and execute privileges. We already discussed in the previous one. So you don't have sufficient privileges to open this. But how can that be possible? It's your laptop. You have installed the WhatsApp and you have the full authorization on accessing this particular application. But unfortunately, what it is saying is you are not eligible, or you are not having privileges to open this. Means what happened here is nothing but denial of service. Like one of the student in your class has asked me that, sir, my applications are not opening. So whenever I'm clicking on that particular application, it is not opening. Okay, so what is the problem here is that that application is present in her system. She is the one who actually can install that particular system, but she is not given the permission. Whatever the permissions are there, he has modified. The intruder might have modified these particular permissions, because of which she is not able to open that particular application, whichever she wanted to use it. Then that kind of thing we call it as denial of service. We call it as denial of services. Okay, so these are the different type of violations. Remember, the first five are the denial of service. First one is breach of confidentiality, breach of integrity, breach of availability, theft of service, and then finally denial of service. These five comes under your security violation. Then what about other? That I will be explaining here. So others are not security violations. Those are something we call it as security attacks. First one is what we have, masquerading. Okay, masquerading is one of the security attacks. So based upon the particular violations, whatever we have discussed now, there are different masquerading problems we have. I mean, different security attacks we are having. First one is masquerading. Okay, I will show them one by one using a diagram. First, let me represent this particular slide. We have a diagram here. Yeah, this is what I require here. The first one, what we have here in this particular case is nothing but masquerading. Okay, what do you mean by masquerading? First, let's see this particular diagram here. The first diagram, what you people are seeing. Let us suppose this is a sender here. He is a receiver here. So they wanted to perform a communication. Okay, let us suppose this is you and this is your friend. Okay, okay, so this is some X, this is Y. Assume it. Let us suppose this is roll number one and this is roll number two. So roll number one wants to communicate some information, okay, with roll number two. That is with respect to something called as WhatsApp, using WhatsApp or using Instagram, whatever it is. That's up to you. You people can assume anything. Now, whenever they start communicating with each other, if the communication takes place perfectly, this is a normal way of communication, what we can see. Now, here you can see there is an attacker here. There is a third person here. These two people are communicating with each other. Now there is a third person who has entered. And you know that whenever you want to communicate with each other, how can you communicate? Definitely you have to connect with internet, isn't it? Except personal messages, I mean except the system device messages. If you want to send any message using any application, so first thing what you people have to do is you should be able to connect with the help of internet, and all those communications are going to take place via communication channels. Either you can use, what are the communication channels we have? You people, I think you know much more better. We use something called as ethernet. In your labs, in your personal, I mean your system, you'll be having a brown color wire. I don't know how many of you seen brown color wire and the back side. That is what we call it as ethernet. So you, this is like something like cable connection. So using that cable, this is a hardware connection that we are providing, using which the data is getting transmitted. But apart from that, you people, which you people like very most is something like mobile data. You know, mobile data, you people will be using it. And then something called as Wi-Fi. This one I think you people are very much familiar, right? Wi-Fi and something called as hotspots. So all these are wireless communications. All these are wireless communication that is taking place over the internet. Okay, but whereas coming to ethernet here, this is a wired communication that we have. Well, I'm not going in depth in this details because these will be coming in your computer network topics. So my question here is that explaining just the different attacks what we have. So for that I'm just explaining this. So here see we have a attacker. Now first thing, what is the first attack we have here is masquerading. So masquerading, what is saying is, let us suppose this is a sender, this is a receiver, role number one and role number two. Now can you see this attacker here? You can see. Now here this attacker is pretending to be role number one. Okay. Now this attacker, whoever is there, he is acting as role number one and he is communicating with role number two. And what about the role number two here, the receiver? He is thinking that this person is role number one and he is sharing all the details with this particular person. Now let us suppose this person will ask, okay, why don't you just give me a username and password so that I can send the information. I wanted to buy something. You just provide me a username and password. Now this sender, I mean this receiver who is role number two, he doesn't know that this, or she doesn't know that this person is an attacker. She will simply assume that she is role number one and she will give the username and password to this person. Now what happened, this person has the data, he has full access to the information, he is having username and password. Now he can do whatever he would like to do. That is one type of attack. We call it as masquerading. Masquerading means something like, you know, pretending to be an authorized user by using privileges. Okay, so he is pretending. Now this attacker is pretending that he is an authorized user, that is nothing but this particular sender, but actually he is not. That is what happening here exactly in this particular thing. Next, we have something called man in the middle attack. Okay, so that I will explain it. But before that, I have one more thing here, something called as replay attack. Well, replay attack is something like, you know, message modification. Like replay attack, in the name itself, it's a replay. Means you will get a message from the sender. Suppose these two people are communicating, sender and receiver. Or you can say this, you can take this masquerading. Now there is a communication taking place. Now this already you have sent username and password. Username and password to this person. What this attacker will do is he will again send the same message. Give me your username and password, but this time he will modify the data. Maybe for example, you have given Amazon's mobile name, I mean Amazon website, you have given username and password. Now this time he is sending you the same data, but he has modified the content present in that. In this, he is asking you to give the Flipkart. He is asking, means he is assuming as role number one, and he is asking this particular role number two to send the Flipkart username and password. Same reply, means same message. Whatever the first message he has sent, Amazon username and password. This is also username and password, but what he has modified here is the name of the website which he is trying to access. Same way, again he will send another message to the person. What this time he'll ask is Mantra. I think you people are very fond of visiting this particular websites. So let us suppose Myntra is the one which we have. So he will ask you Myntra's username and password. You, the role number two, without innocently, she doesn't know that she is not the person, role number one whom she is sending. She is an attacker. She doesn't know. She will simply send the data again, and she will again ask, okay, why you're sending? You are asking all these websites again and again, but there will not be any reply for that. I just wanted to buy something or something. That excuses will come, and based on that this particular thing will perform. That is what we call it as replay attack. Means the same message will be replayed again and again, but there will be modifications in the messages. So what kind of modifications? I have already explained it. That kind of modifications will come up here. Next, we have man in the middle attack. Well, this is something important here. Man in the middle attack is something like, now masquerading, only he, this particular attacker is pretending to be one of the sender, and then he's communicating with this. But whereas coming to a man in the middle attack, this person is actually thefting. Okay, he's actually what we call, we can say, masquerading the receiver as well as sender. Means for a sender, this particular attacker is acting as a receiver. For this receiver, this particular attacker is nothing but masquerading as a sender, vice versa. Okay, this is what comes under here. You can see here. So here the sender is sending the information. This sender is assuming that he is sending the information to the receiver, but actually the data is getting transmitted to this particular attacker. This attacker will use that data, and based on that he will do some modifications, and he will send that data to the receiver. What the receiver will do, he will give a reply. Now the receiver is assuming that he got the message from this particular sender, and he's thinking that he's sending the information to this sender, but actually he is giving the reply to this particular sender. Now what this attacker will do, he will use suppose there is a critical information present here, he will access that information, and then using that information he will again send it to this by attacker by modifying it. And he can ask anything in between in this particular messages. So this is the way how this attacker is pretending. For this particular sender, he is acting as a receiver, and for this particular receiver he is acting as a sender. This is what we call it as a man in the middle attack. Now here sometimes when this particular communication takes place, we basically call that as another term called as session hijacking. Now what about, there should be communication. If you see, this is a communication taking place between the sender and receiver. So this is some kind of session. If you're communicating with your friend, you're talking to your friend for 15 minutes. So it's a session of 15 minutes. Like I am now discussing this topic with you people for 50 minutes. So there is a session of 50 minutes, right? Now let us suppose any intruder comes in between and he tries to access information. Means whatever the data I'm trying to share with you, it is not getting shared with you. Rather, it is been shared by, it is getting to this particular attacker. This attacker, what he will do is he will try to modify the data that is present here, and then he will be presenting that to you. So what happens exactly here is whatever the session, the 50-minute session which I'm going to take place here, this is actually hijacked by whom? This particular attacker. And what he's doing is he's simply trying to modify the data and transmitting to the sender and the receiver. And the sender and receiver doesn't know that these kind of actions are taking place, and the critical information is getting shared by the third party. That comes under this session hijacking. Well, these are some of the security attacks we have. I think if people understood just very perfectly. So for something we call it as masquerading. Then we have replay attack, man in the middle attack, and then followed with that we have something called as session hijacking. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yeah, security measure levels. So what are the different measure levels we have that we are going to discuss? So where exactly we need to measure? So definitely we need to provide security, but there are different levels that have been identified in order to provide this particular security. There are 4 levels that have been identified where the security has to be provided. Something we call it as physical. Physical in the sense nothing but data centers. As I told you, for example, if you're having a Facebook account, Facebook has its own data center. Do you know? Do you have any idea about data centers? If not, in the YouTube, you can simply type Google data centers, or you can call Facebook data centers. You'll get a lot of videos with respect to the data centers. Nothing but it is a very big building within which there will be lot of systems running simultaneously. Within our library, we have different racks. Same way, we'll be having their CPUs, and within that CPU, you'll be having hardware devices. That is nothing but your disk, hardware disk, where your information will be stored, your account will be stored. Where whatever the data you people are loading within your system, I mean within your Facebook account, that will be stored into this particular data centers. So we need to provide a security to this particular data centers, because if we are not providing security to these data centers, anyone can go to this particular data center just using a particular program. He will be trying to get your critical information with respect to the whatever the data you people are storing in this Facebook. It can be anything. It can be a Facebook, or or you can say that it is your Gmail. In Gmail also you are having Google. So Google data centers are available. I don't know how many of you know that. You can just type in your YouTube Google data centers. You can see what are the different type of data centers. These are not like small buildings. These are very big buildings, and on entire building is occupied by only hardware devices. And there will be one programmer who will be controlling all those particular devices. Okay, multi-storied buildings are also there in order to store this particular data. Same way, if you have suppose Yahoo, anyone is having Yahoo account, so that data will be stored in a Yahoo data center. Yahoo has its own data center. Same way after Facebook, you have something called Instagram. So Instagram is actually taken by Facebook now. So that data also will be stored here in this particular Facebook data center. So in India, in Hyderabad, we are having a Facebook data center where so I think that almost all the accounts, whatever Indian people are having within the India, that account details will be present in that particular database or data centers. So we need to provide that particular data centers perfectly. Okay, so that is what comes under. So here we need to provide, that is physical protection we need to provide. Then is human in the sense nothing but unauthorized access, unauthorized access by the person, by human, should be prevented. What do you mean by unauthorized access? Is nothing but suppose your system is there, your system should be accessed by only those whom you trust, for those whom you have given the username and password. Suppose some X person is coming and he is trying to access the information present in a system. So that X person is nothing but the human is coming. So that we need to avoid it. That we have to avoid it. So that is a place where we need to provide protection. And that is the thing I guess you people use usually is username and password for your laptops. So whenever you're going out, your system is already in on state. What you will do, you will simply lock that particular screen and you go, so that whenever someone tries to open, the user, I mean the password should be given, and those who know the password only they can access. And if the person knows the password, definitely he's the authorized person. So if a person doesn't know the password and he's trying to access it, means it is an unauthorized access. So that way we need to provide protection with respect to that. Is a I mean that is a ground level which I'm talking about. There is a terminology called as phishing. Phishing is something like pretending that the website is similar to the one. For example, suppose you have an SBI account, so you will be going online.sbi.com something. You're clicking on this particular website. You're going to a particular website. Now, what happens here is, if you don't, usually users will never remember the entire website. Users will, okay. Even you can take a Facebook account also. Facebook. Even so, if I ask you what is the exact URL of this particular Facebook, no one knows, because what they will say is, sir, we usually type Google, and within that Google, we'll be typing as Facebook. Automatically, I'm getting that particular link. So I'm clicking on that link. I mean, in the statements, I'm clicking on that link and directly I enter into it. Fine, that's fine, no big deal. Usually, everyone does the same thing. But what if there is a fake ID, fake Facebook ID? Means When you click on this, on top of this, you're getting, let us suppose the authorized Facebook URL is facebook.com. This is the authorized user ID. Let us assume it. Now, when you click on Google Facebook, you're getting the first page where he has written facebook.edu.in. Facebook.edu.in. Actually, Facebook is a corporative company, isn't it? So whenever you have cooperative company, either it should be having .com, commerce. Com is nothing but commerce. Means it's a commercial website. Commercial means they will earn money from this particular website. But whereas coming to edu.in, this is for education purpose, that is within India. .in. What do you mean by edu education? .in means within India, this URL will work. Now what happens here, when you click on this means it will open the same echo page the way this is there, but there will be some changes there. For example, username is there, username, and here you have to type the username, and here you are having password. Yeah. So here there may be a small spelling mistakes which you will not be identifying. What is username? USERNAME. But in that website it will show you USRNAME. What you people will simply blindly go for this, means we will not see the username. So E is missing here, you will not see that. Simply you will give your username, same way password you will give. What will happen? Automatically he got your username and password. He will try to hack your information perfectly. Why? Both the username and password is present with this. Why? Because you did not observe, first thing, you did not observe the URL that is given to this particular website. So I always suggest you people, whenever you're logging into your social networking sites or other devices and all, make sure that you know the URL perfectly. And mainly when you're dealing with bank statements, if you have an account and you people are doing online banking and all, you should be very much careful when you're performing it. There are certain websites which look similar to the online banking websites, but they are not the same. So simply we will blindly go, we'll give username and password, and that will be simply stored in their database, that is hacker's database. And later on he will use it for his own purpose. So that is what comes under a human. And we basically call that as phishing. We call that as phishing. This is one of the interesting topic we have. You people can work on this phishing. Dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is nothing but simply diving into a particular website. Same thing is similar to the phishing what we have, that is comes under your dumpster diving. Then comes, we need to provide protection and operating system here. So coming to operating system, what he's saying is he's asking you to provide mechanisms for debugging. Operating system is the one which actually consists of all the resources, and he's the one which will be creating different processes in order to complete our task. Whatever the task is there, we want to complete it, we'll be creating the processes, and that process will be accessing these resources and performing the operation. So definitely this operating system should be protected from unauthorized access. For that we are using something called as antiviruses. We need to use a perfect. Sometimes even antiviruses doesn't work depending upon the strongness of that particular virus program, whatever is written. Okay, so we need to have a very strong and very good operating system. I mean protection for this particular operating system. Next we have networking. So obviously you are connecting to a outside world using internet. So definitely you need to provide protection to the network through which you people are connecting. As I told you, this is a sender, this is a receiver, and they are communicating here. So how they are communicating? Either they are using Ethernet here, okay, that is wired, or they might be using Wi-Fi, that is wireless medium, or they might be using something called as your mobile data, okay, or modem. So all this comes under your wireless mediums. So here, when they are communicating here through this particular channel, this channel should be secured. We need to secure that particular communication channel so that whatever the data is transmitted by the sender, it actually reaches to the receiver, and whatever receiver is giving a reply, it should reach to the sender. No third party should be there here. They should not get access to this particular location. That is what comes under your networking. So these are the 4 different regions where we need to provide protection with respect to your security. That is nothing but security during physical thing, security during human intervention, security during operating system, security with respect to your networks whenever you're connecting to your system to network connections. So these are the 4 places where you people have to provide protection. So But the only thing what they exactly say here is nothing but we cannot provide security. If you ask me, sir, is it possible to provide 100% security? Well, no one will give you, not even the experts will say that we can provide 100% security to the system. No, it's not possible. Okay, it's not at all possible to provide 100% security, because if this is possible 100% security, then there will be no hackers in this world. These hackers must have been vanished by now. Why they are still existing here means we cannot provide 100% security. Why? Because nothing is perfect. We know that nothing is perfect in this world, right? You know that. So definitely no viruses can be. So we cannot provide 100% security from any kind of infringements or hacking by the different hackers and all. That is what he means to say exactly here in this particular. But yes, we can try to stop them to certain extent by using some strong code. We have to write some strong code in order to protect them. That's why we are using antiviruses and all for our systems, so that they can protect our systems from these kind of viruses and these kind of intruders attacks and all. Whenever, if you are having a valid license antiviruses, you will see that whenever you try to open a particular website which consists of malicious data, immediately it will block it up. Your antivirus will say that if this particular website consists of a malicious data, I'm just blocking it up. So you can simply close that particular tab and you can open a next another link, whatever we are having. Okay, so that way it can try to protect us. These antiviruses can protect us. And that's the reason I always insist you people who are having laptops, who are using electronic devices which are connected to internet, please use antiviruses. A licensed antiviruses is must in order to protect your system. They will really help you out a lot. So most people just generally think I don't require, I don't have anything or something. But see, after some time your system may not be functioning properly. That's because of this particular thing. So I just want you people to just understand that, and please try to buy antiviruses, licensed antiviruses, so that you people can protect your system and they can be used for long run. Or else what will happen is you people have to keep on updating. I mean, you have to keep on rebuild or install the operating system again and again. Okay, and again and again, if you are installing the operating system, definitely your system will be in a your performance, your system will reduce. For example, the lifespan of your system is some for 10 years or 20 years, it will be reduced to 20 years or 5 years. So that you have to keep in mind, and based on that you should work. Okay, no, okay, so we'll stop here. And these are the programming threats. This will be discussed in the coming session. So there are many. So programming threats means what are the different type of viruses we do have, and what are the different type of attacks we may be coming across. So that comes Trojan horse, trapdoor, logic bomb. So we will discuss them in the coming sessions. Okay, Stack and buffer flow. These are some of the threats we have in our security purposes here. And after that we will be seeing the small programs here, and this programs, how this program is going to create a threat to our particular program and all that we are going to discuss it. So followed with that we have something called viruses here. This viruses also will be discussing in the coming session. There are different type of viruses we have, see here. So viruses with respect to file, viruses with respect to boot by memory, with respect to macro, source code, polymorphism, encrypted, stealth, tunneling, multi-parite armor. These are the different type of viruses we are having. So we'll discuss them one by one. And this is with respect to booting. Whenever you want to turn on your system, you'll be using something called as a power button, right? So within the power button, you're having a boot sector, and that boot will be initiating your program, so which will turn on your operating system. So there is a virus which can affect that also, your power button. So whenever you're clicking on the power button, your system might not be opening it up. Why? That is the reason. So we will see this, this particular all these threads in the next session. Okay, so this is all we have for this, so all for today's session. So I hope you people have understood what are the different kind of security threats we have, what are the different terminologies we have. I think you people have understood it. So just go through it, and based on this, you people practice it. Okay. And my suggestion, please use antiviruses. Don't leave your systems as it is. Use antiviruses in your system, licensed one. So this is all about for today's session. Thank you. Thank you for listening.